At the age of 5, this girl touched the family's long-sealed demonic sword, and in an instant, her jet black hair turned blood red. While resisting the evil spirit's corruption inside the sword, she also gained immense power and became the ruler of the Hero Academy. No one could last more than 3 moves against her blade, but everything changed when Jack appeared. Jack was the last remaining hero in the entire world. After a brutal battle with the Demon King, he saved the world, but he was left seriously wounded, and his strength had already fallen to less than 30% of what it once was. But Jack didn't come to the Hero Academy to regain his power and become a hero again. He came for one reason only, to make 100 friends. For a bright and cheerful transfer student like him, the 4 of them were more than happy to be his friends. But Jack's loud and energetic behavior soon caught Jenny's attention. A classmate nearby quickly warned Jack to be careful around her. But the very next second, Jack ran right over and introduced himself. Jenny was clearly annoyed. As far as she knew, there had never been a case of someone transferring into the Hero Academy midway. After all, only those determined to become heroes who protect the world were qualified to enroll. But Jack casually said he didn't care about being a hero at all. He was only there to make friends. That instantly infuriated Jenny, who took principles very seriously. So she told him that with an attitude like that, he had no right to be at this school. The 2 of them argued so fiercely that it ended up in the principal's office. But when they got inside, Jenny was shocked to find that the school had a new principal, the current king himself. Terrified, Jenny immediately dropped to one knee and saluted him. But beside her, Jack looked completely unfazed.
このお方がどなたなのか分かっているの？
知ってるぞ。
大変な失礼を。国王陛下。
The king found it absolutely hilarious. He said he had already heard about Jenny from the former principal, and that she was an exceptionally outstanding student. The moment she heard that, Jenny was over the moon. She practically lit up with excitement, because the king had always been her idol. As a fan, she couldn't have been happier. But before she could enjoy it for even 2 more seconds, the king told her to step outside. He wanted to speak to Jack alone. That left Jenny completely stunned, but she had no choice except obey. The reason the king had Jack transferred into this hero training academy was to help him recover the power of the hero. He had even come to serve part-time as the principal for that purpose, and had drastically reworked the curriculum. In his eyes, the former principal had simply been too soft-hearted. That kind of teaching could never produce someone greater than a mere hero, a true hero. Soon, it was time for class and combat training. To Jenny's surprise, she discovered that Jack, who had just enrolled, had somehow ended up in the advanced class. That made her immediately assume he must have bribed his way in through the back door, and she was furious. But before Jenny could even finish scolding him, Jack had already wandered off again to introduce himself, hoping to make all his new friends today. That left Jenny fuming on the side, shouting at him to pay attention. Jack just reached out, patted her on the head, and said, "I'm listening." Jenny's face turned bright red in an instant. Then she drew her sword and slashed at Jack, telling him not to touch her. Luckily, Jack reacted fast, otherwise, he might have lost a hand. Just then, Anna arrived to relay the instructor's order for everyone to gather, and Jack used the chance to become friends with Anna too. That only made Jenny even more annoyed, so she had the instructor come over immediately. She wanted Jack's abilities properly tested, because someone like her, who valued fairness and rules, could never accept the idea that someone had gotten in through favoritism. Then, right in the center of the plaza, they placed a suit of armor made from magical metal. Jenny declared that if Jack could destroy it, she would acknowledge that he belonged in the advanced class, but if he couldn't, he would have to leave the school. Jack had no choice but to make a move. The moment everyone saw his unique form of battle aura, the students watching immediately recognized it. It was a dragon-slaying style. And after seeing what Jack could do, Annie had no choice but to fully admit that he was the real deal. At lunchtime, Jack casually sat down across from Annie. When he spotted the friends he had met that morning, he warmly invited them to come sit with him too. But even if they had 10,000 times more courage, they still wouldn't dare. After all, that was Jenny's exclusive table. Jack was totally confused, so he asked, "Wait, are you getting bullied?" Jenny replied that everyone was just afraid of her. That only made Jack even more puzzled. When he looked at her for an explanation, Jenny didn't feel like saying a word. Instead, after a brief pause, she apologized to Jack and said she took back what she had said that morning about him getting in through connections. But Jack just said he didn't even remember that. That made things extremely awkward for Jenny. She had been feeling guilty about it for so long. Still, Jack told her he was grateful that she had become his friend. And when Jenny returned to her room after that sudden new friendship, she was so happy she rolled around on her bed. Because at long last, she had made her very first friend. But then, her sword suddenly began to tremble. Looking at the demonic blade, she couldn't help remembering how she had nearly been devoured by it as a child. All this time, she had constantly endured the erosion of her mind caused by the sword. Thankfully, her stubborn refusal to give in had carried her all the way to today. But after that night, her temper had only grown more and more violent. During a practice match with a classmate, she had nearly cut them down. And now, with the curse raging through her, she finally lost control of her body and started to collapse. But just then, Jack flashed forward in an instant and caught her in his arms. He then carried her straight to the infirmary. But even the doctor could do nothing. If it had been an illness or an injury, she said she could save Jenny even if she only had 1 breath left. But but magic and curses were the one thing she couldn't treat. So in order to save Jenny, Jack cleared out the defense robots guarding the Academy's treasury and broke into a highly classified area, where he pulled up all the information on the demonic sword. After thinking it through, he went to find Jenny and told her how to break the curse, but Jenny already knew. After all, it was her family's inherited demonic sword. The only way was to make the blade acknowledge its wielder, but if she failed during that process, it would give birth to a bloodthirsty demon. That was why she had never dared to try it before, but Jack told her not to worry. If she turned into a monster, he would personally cut her down himself, and somehow, after hearing that, Jenny agreed. Then she went to the training grounds and began the contract ritual.